Leverage is perfect. Leverage of everything. Yes.
Yeah, I like it, man. Okay, let's get into it. So when it comes to leverage, I know that you and I both have been talking about, and we both have assistants. You have a lot more than I do. You've got a few more businesses that you're running, so you have a lot more moving parts than I do. But we've had some similar challenges that we've talked about in finding the right, in this case, virtual assistants to kind of take off things from our plate, that we could not have to micromanage them. Because that's been a struggle that I've personally found with some virtual assistants, is the micromanaging part. I don't want to micromanage, but sometimes that's needed in the beginning to get them up and running. It's not always my strongest suit, right? And sometimes it feels like if I just do it myself, it'll get done quicker than if I teach somebody. But ultimately, if I teach somebody, they can continue doing it into the future for me and give me my time back.
Actually, taking few steps back, right? So leverage of the day-to-day stuff is what we have to think naturally or automatically. Like, let's say if you're moving from one office to the other office, you automatically think of having a dolly. You'll not think of how I would be carrying the bookshelf by yourself, or you'll not be thinking of ways to carry the bookshelf. You're automatically thinking of getting a dolly or finding somebody to give you a hand. So that's how naturally we should think about even running a business. Of course, you could move the bookshelf by yourself. You're strong. I mean, we can do it slowly but surely. But that's not the intent. The intent is to move from one room to the next room as quickly as possible and set up your room fast and get into business, right? So in the business world also, the day-to-day mundane tasks, some of them, unless you leverage, you'll not be able to move fast and achieve the results fast. I can give you a couple of examples of the easiest and simplest way for any business to do, right? The CRM management. There is like so many customer relationship management softwares out there. And constantly in the Facebook groups that I'm part of, people are always asking, hey, what's the best CRM to sign up for and all that. And the answer, as I read the comments, they'll say, oh, there is this new CRM that automatically sends text messages, automatically emails. It already knows. There is a lot of artificial intelligence behind it. But the fundamental basic thing is you have to feed the database first. So any business, the immediate quick leverage that they could do is maintaining their CRM. Like, you have customers, a lot of people, some people just inquire and then go away. And some people end up getting a quote, then go away. Some people end up doing business and then you go away. Like, you're not staying in touch with them, right?
Right.
So all that systems, unless you put it and leverage them properly, you cannot do it. Like, for any business, I think the first and immediate leverage is getting your CRM to be in top shape. In the sense that I remember a few years ago, or maybe almost 15 years ago, I took a class from Brian Buffini.
Yeah.
So he's a real estate coach. So he talked about categorizing your business contacts as A, B, C, D. So A and A plus are the people who constantly refer you more clients, right? A and A plus clients. So A and A plus is people who've done at least more than one transaction, or people who have referred somebody else. So that means those are the people that you already won the trust from. So those are the people that you need to absolutely, you have a responsibility to stay in touch with them. And for a busy businessman, it's just not possible because you're servicing new customers. So when it comes to leverage, that is the immediate first leverage that I think of for a small business.
Well, you hit on 2 points that I think are really important. Number one is the best CRM is the one that you're actually going to use, right? Because if you can get the most expensive AI outfitted CRM, but if you don't use it, it's worthless, right? And if for you, the best CRM is literally like some kind of Gmail system of managing your contacts, and that's as simple as you get, but you do it, awesome. Then that's your CRM. So I'm a big believer in making sure that, I know for me, that's a big thing. Like I'm always distracted by the big shiny thing, the new toy, the new software coming out. And I've tried, Karan, I've probably tried a good 40 to 50 CRMs easily. And my thing is like, I've always just wanted to use the one that felt the best to me. Right now we've got one. And the second part of that, the thing that you tapped into was once you've got your CRM or your system, is leveraging it, right? Feeding that database. And that's where my virtual assistant came in, that leverage, because to be honest with you, Karan, I'm not that great at feeding my database or nurturing it. And so one of the first things I wanted to do was bring on a virtual assistant to help manage that process so that I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to worry about it. And I could give them some basic guidelines, and they learned the software, and we're still in it. We're still working some things out, some kinks, and we're trying to figure out how to better nurture those clients that are doing really well with referrals. But the first step was finding out who our clients are in the first place. Do we have their phone numbers, their emails? Do we know their full names? Do we know when they refer us business? Do we know how much business they've brought to us in the past year? Like, who are my top 10% clients? You know what I mean? Am I nurturing that relationship, or am I letting it fall to the side a little bit? And so those are some really simple questions that I had to answer. And getting a virtual assistant into a really simple CRM is my solution this past year to address that issue.
That's terrific. See, yeah, you said you used 40 CRMs. That's incredible, because you can be a good consultant for CRM companies, because every CRM does something fabulously. Yeah. And then unless we use it, we don't really take full benefit of it. You probably know that I built a CRM called Connectoid. So as part of the CRM, in that, it's like a social networking CRM, wherein you're trying to leverage not just your employees, but you're also leveraging your contacts. When I say leverage, that means in a relationship, it's give and take. Right. If we talk about leveraging, most of the times we feel like, okay, we have to use some other's time to get ahead. So that's the immediate immediate thought. But the for leveraging is we are able to give something back to that person. Let's say you're using an administrative assistant to help you. Right. So that administrative assistant, of course, he or she is going to get a livelihood out of working with you. Plus, you are able to also give something more, like the opportunity to work with you. Then comes the next level of leverage, wherein in my line of work, right, as a real estate agent, as a mortgage broker, we refer a lot of business out to insurance agents, depending on the customer's requirement. So when you refer it out, that's also leverage, according to me. You are leveraging your contacts and providing them fabulous service by connecting them to a financial planner or a mortgage broker or a photographer or a handyman. So you're leveraging your contacts and providing the fabulous, wholesome service to the customer. People who are in this B2C, wherein we are interacting with the customers directly, the customers do need a lot of services. Let's say they're getting married, they need a wedding planner. If they know that you're very well connected, if you're very well leveraged, if you are very well connected, they are going to approach you. So the leverage comes at multiple levels when we are working on the business. So in your case, I mean, I want to hear how photographers do it, because I'm in this real estate mortgage universe. So you're in a different universe. I want to see how photographers can leverage their network of connections.
Well, there's so many similarities, and coming from the real estate world into photography, I've realized that there's almost no difference between the two industries at a really fundamental level. And I joked about this with you before, like everybody has a real estate license or is a real estate agent or is a mortgage broker, and everybody's a photographer, right? And then you've got the few percentage that really make it a full-time living and do it at a really high end. And then you've got the masses, which are just kind of hobbyists, they're amateurs, they're doing it here and there, but they couldn't sustain themselves or their household. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of similarities with the photography group and the real estate world. And I think your concept of leveraging your network, it applies equally as well. And the same questions come to me as they come to you. Hey, Shane, I know you shoot, for example, real estate. Do you know a commercial commercial real estate agent who could help me out with this project? Do you know a house cleaner who could help me out with my short-term rentals that I've got? Do you know, hey, I'm looking for somebody like an attorney. I just had somebody ask me, hey, Shane, I know you photographed some attorneys before for headshots. Who would you recommend? I'm looking for someone specific in this. So I was able to reach out to my network and can make those connections. So I would say that it's probably the same questions that you're getting. I'm probably getting the same ones as far as like who I can refer out to. And I think if you get to a certain point in this industry where people look at you as a, I don't want to use the word professional, but there's different levels, right? There's everybody, if you know that everybody's a real estate agent or everybody's a photographer, there are a few of them when you say, who's the best, that come to mind, right? And you just put them kind of in a different category, and you imagine that they operate their business at a much higher scale. And those are probably the ones that you're going to go to and ask for those referrals, because you figure they're doing things at a high level. They probably know some really good contacts to help me out in my situation. When I was brand new as a photographer, I didn't get asked very much for referrals, to be honest with you, just because I was cutting my teeth. I was brand new. And the way people perceive you, like, do they perceive you as a hobbyist, an amateur, kind of the middle of the pack or lower, or do they perceive you in that top 10%? If they perceive you in that top 10% of your field, I would guess that that's when the referrals really start coming towards you, as far as like, hey, who can you refer out for this? Or do you know somebody that can do this for me? And when I started to get to that point in my business, that's really when people started reaching out and saying, hey, do you know somebody that does this or this or this or this? So I don't know, maybe that was your same experience or completely different, but that was mine.
Yes, no. They're all similar. Like anybody who is in the business of servicing customers, like business B2C, will have the same leverage of network. So so leverage is at multiple levels. One is leveraging our own personal time as a business owner, then leveraging the skill set that we don't have. Maybe we'll bring somebody in to help us, either as a temporary consultant. We'll bring it as as somebody who can help us short term, or bring over an employee if there is a lot of work. And then also leveraging other resources for a lot of mundane tasks wherein you don't have time, or or if you're not even enjoying that task. There is a lot of tasks in the businesses that you don't enjoy, so that also will be a good task for us to leverage. So when it comes to like an individual, right, as an individual also, it's the same thing. Like if you don't like cooking, then you have to figure out ways how to like order food out. Just like that, even in finances also it works, wherein if you don't have money to buy like a $500,000 house, what do? You just put 5%, 10% down, then you leverage and you buy and you invest. So the same thing happens, wherein we have to be intentional about leveraging. We have to be so intentional about our time, where our time is going.
Yeah.
We have to make sure our valuable time, because how much we earn is the value that we define ourselves, right?
Yes.
So in the world that we are in, how do we judge our success? The success, some people say that, okay, depending on how much happy I am. So there is a lot of subjective ways to define success. But then when it comes to the objective way, right? So some people might be happy defining their own value based on how much they would earn, right? Like I heard about this. One of my mentors, he talked about what is your value according to you. is the question he asked me. So when he said, what is my value? I used to work at Intel that time. Then I said, what do you mean? You mean how much I make right now? He said, yeah, you can count it as that. What is your value? Like it could be 50,000 for some people, or and the question he asked is how, if you are unemployed right now, and if there is a job opening, which job opening would you apply for? 50,000, 100,000, 200, half a million, 750 million, or 2 million? So then I said, I would be happy with 200 is what I told him. Then he said, there you go. That is your value. 200,000 is what you consider yourself as your value. So 200,000. And if you imagine yourself working maybe 40 hours a week, so that's your hourly pay. So if you, first of all, you have to determine your value. That's like you start at the top and then you kind of boil it down to see the task, how much is your hourly worth, or what's the value you see yourself as a value. If you consider yourself to be $1 million guy, so that means $1 million is what your worth is, and you're working 40 hours a week, 52 weeks in a year. Then what's your hourly income? And if the job that you're doing right now is not commensurate to the value that you put yourself, then you are actually wasting your time. Like if you are just cleaning the table, and if you think that you have to make $500 an hour, then cleaning the table is not your thing. You have to do something else. So
Yeah, that's true.
it's a long explanation, but that's how that's a yardstick to figure out whether you should leverage or you should not leverage. Let's say there is nothing wrong. There is absolutely nothing wrong to have your value at let's say $5 an hour on Saturdays and Sundays, right? That's your value. So it's fine for you to do what you enjoy, or mundane tasks. But when it comes to the business time, like Monday through Friday, when you're most productive, that's the time you have to absolutely leverage.
You know what? That leads me to a different kind of leverage. One that you and I have talked about is, let's say that the value you give yourself is X amount of dollars, right, for your time, and your business is only producing a tenth of that, right? Then one way that you can leverage yourself, and something that I've been looking at, and I've been talking with you about this, is leveraging my business. My core business is photography. I'm behind a camera. I'm creating these images, and for you, it's, you know, you've got your mortgage, you got the real estate, and the insurance. But we're saying, okay, how can we take these core business ideas and then leverage out from those, right? Does that look like coaching? Does that look like teaching? Does that look like courses? You've got a CRM that you're creating to service other business owners. So that's another way for you to leverage. It's not part of your core business, but it helps it. And then it can become its own entity to help support you to get to that value level that you give yourself. And so there's some things that I've been looking at myself and kind of been playing with for the past couple of years on, what are some other areas that I can take my core business, leverage out into adjacent industries or services or products that allow me to still focus on what I do really well, but help me get to that value level that I have for myself.
It's a balance that only successful people are able to achieve. It's so easy to preach, but it's so hard to practice. So all of us are on the same board that way, wherein we want to leverage. We have so much of experience that we gain. We want to focus on our core skill set. Yet we know that we can contribute, or we can share other stuff. And we doing this podcast is part of that effort, wherein we are trying to expand our knowledge, and also we are trying to leverage from each other's expertise to brainstorm and then provide value to whoever is listening to this. And everybody listening to this has to also figure out what are the things that they can leverage and share with everybody. So it's a terrific topic to talk about, but unless we are intentional, we'll just keep on doing the same monotonous task every day, and then time just flies, and before you know it, the year is over. So having it as part of your plan, and having to be so intentional is the only way you can leverage, because otherwise you as a business owner get sucked into the mundane tasks, and then before you know it, the year is over.
Yeah, no, and you are one of the ways that I am leveraging and in these conversations, because one of my personal goals for these conversations is you and I, we have a lot of ideas, and you and I have done very well in our industries of executing on some things to get to a certain level within our respective industries. But these conversations are helping me to push past my natural talent. Like my natural talent, your natural smartness and drive takes you to a certain level, but then you kind of hit a plateau, and you need stuff like this. You need conversations, you need accountability to kind of push you beyond to the next level. And so that's one of the things that you're helping me to leverage some of the ideas that have just been slowly baking in my mind here in the background for a long time, and giving me some ways to solidify them, to put them into action this coming year. So thank you, Kiran. I appreciate you.
Thank you. So yeah, Shane, I think we can you help wrap up, because we talked so much.
Yeah.
I did most of the talking this time, but can you help wrap up and summarize what are some of the action items for the business owners?
Yeah, for sure. So when leverage is a big key component of achieving your success. There's a lot of ways to leverage. One of the first ways you can leverage is tools, right? And the basic tool for a business owner is a CRM, a customer relationship management software. The other way you can leverage is help. You can get help like virtual assistants or in-house assistants. And that could not only have to be employees, but that could be somebody to manage that tool that you just brought in to give you more leverage, right? So in our case, it's virtual assistants to help us manage our CRMs. So you're getting leverage twice on that point. Another way you can leverage is your network. And you've got this CRM connectoid that you're putting together, which is geared specifically to be able to leverage your network to be able to connect people with those who would be best to help them out with whatever need that they have in any industry. Another way that you can leverage is taking your core business and saying, what are some other ancillary things that I could do to help still do what I do at the core, but these things kind of live on the periphery, but they would help add more value to my business as a whole, increase the value, the revenue that I'm bringing in. And by doing that, they're also going to increase your network, right? Because you're going to be servicing more clients that maybe you wouldn't in your core business, but because you got these other things going on, your network's going to grow because of that. So it kind of all feeds back on itself as a big loop. And and then once again, leveraging at a core is our relationships. I'm leveraging the opportunity to spend time with someone like you for a few minutes every week. And that's been a really good thing to help me focus in on my business and being intentional.
Awesome. Shane, I reciprocate the same. I appreciate the time. So it's terrific talk, and I'm looking forward to the next week.
You got it, brother. Thank you so much for taking the time. Take care, Kiran.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.